How to write an amazing protagonist that is not like,
I don't know what I want.
Or,
what am I doing here?
Or,
I am flawless.
But rather interesting and exciting that they grab the audience's attention and never let them go for a long, long time during your movie, TV show, or whatever you're working on. Hey you, welcome to my channel. My name is Sada, as you already know, and we have reached 60 million subscribers. No, I'm joking. We have reached 60 subscribers. Whoever is subscribed, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I know that you're serious about becoming a great filmmaker, screenwriter, producer, or whatever you are. Welcome. I'll get right into the video. Protagonist is the most important character of your project. They are the main character that the audience follow for 2 hours in the movie, 30 to 60 minutes in a TV episode. When I did my MFA in screenwriting, we had this one class about developing your characters, and we spent so much time on the protagonist, more than the side characters. We wrote bios, long bios, and presentations about our main character. Then we also answered some questions that weren't even related to our project, like what are their favorite ice cream, what are their favorite plays, what are their travel plans, and things like that, just to get to know our main character better. Most writers tend to focus on the plot more than the main character, but that's the mistake that we all make, and it's just not good. That's usually how it goes. We tend to find an idea based on the plot, and then we try to figure out the main character. If you're here watching this and thinking, nope, I usually find the main character first and then the plot, then you are one step ahead in the game. Whatever your writing process is, I'm going to help you develop your main character better. Now, my number one tip is to take a look at your inciting incident and or your world and try to develop your main character as the best fit into this world, or the inciting incident. For example, if your inciting incident is the beginning of the end of the world, like it is in some of the end of the world movies, then you can start thinking about who would be a great fit for that inciting incident. Maybe a single dad who would do anything to protect his daughter. I think that's Tom Cruise in War of the Worlds. Number two is take a look at your genre. If your genre is comedy, then it would be a good idea to develop a sarcastic character. Like end of the world scenario, let's go with that. If you develop a character who doesn't believe in the end of the world, or a character who has a boring 9-to-5 job and he never had to do anything about survival, he never went for swimming or hiking, now those characters would automatically fit the comedy genre. A character who doesn't believe in the end of the world and end of the world starts happening, that's kind of funny. Or someone with no survival skills and the end of the world starts. Another example is if your genre is crime, then that's kind of obvious what type of character you can go with. Cop, detective, criminal, doctor at the prison, prison guard. So you're basically going with someone that is in that world. It doesn't have to be like that, but if you look at similar genres of crime, you'll see that pattern repeating itself. Next, focus on the feelings of your main character. How do they feel about their situation even before the movie starts? Then how do they feel when the inciting incident happens? How do they feel about things around them? What do they want to do about the events that are taking place throughout the movie? Keep checking in with your character. Check in, that's a good word. Someone told me that about my TV pilot when I was pitching it. It was an executive producer, I think. She said, I get the plot and the main character, but after you tell me about the certain events in your TV show, go back to the protagonist and check in. Tell me how they feel. Next is very related to checking in. Figure out the psychology of your character. There's a book called Psychology for Screenwriters. It's literally my second time reading that book. Check it out if you're interested in it. But I've realized that as screenwriters, we kind of push the character for the character arc that we want them to have in our project. You know what I mean? In other words, we create this plot that we love. Then we create the character according to the plot we love, then they're not fitting into our plot and they're not even making it interesting. So we force our character to fit into our plot. We force them to have these flaws that we need them to have for the plot, or we push them to have these wants that we want them to have. But as you dive deeper into your character, you sometimes realize, hey, my character doesn't have these flaws or wants that I want them to have. So I think after you develop your character, you need to be open to go back to your plot points and change them according to your character's flaws and wants. So what helped for me is to focus on the psychology of your character. Is he a single dad? What is his psychology then? Taking care of his kids, no time to date, devoted father, whatever it is. Or single mom, strong woman, college student. And for figuring out the psychology of your character, the main question is, how was their childhood? I think that's a game changer to think about that. The book that I was talking about, Psychology for Screenwriters, the writer talks a lot about Freudian theories and other theories that say our childhood influences our adulthood. For example, do they have trauma? Where did they grow up? How were their parents? Did they have controlling parents? Loving parents, over loving parents? What are they scared of? Did they have fear of dark? How are they asleep? Do they have insomnia? Dive deeper into the character. Ask a lot of questions about your character. Some questions that has no relation to your plot because you want to figure out your character inside and out. Next, I have again another important question. How do they act when they're in an overwhelming situation? Do they get angry fast? Do they shout a lot? Or do they keep it inside until they finally explode? Or are they just naturally calm? This is going to help you a lot throughout the film, because why do we watch films? Because we want characters to succeed. Yes, but we don't want them to succeed just like that. That won't be interesting. We need conflict, tears, overwhelming situations, obstacles, fights. We want all of those things in the movie. So figure out how your character is going to act when they face an obstacle or an overwhelming situation, because you're going to have a lot of those in your movie. Next, this was something I should have mentioned earlier, but we have to like your character even if they're not likable. There has to be something good in them. If you heard about Blake Snyder's book called Save the Cat, he calls it Save the Cat because he describes this moment as Save the Cat moment. The moment where we like your character. Even the worst of worst characters can be likable if they save a cat on the tree. That's what Blake Snyder says. So they have to show a human side of them, even if they're antagonists by nature. Like in the film The Joker, we loved the Joker. Why? Because we saw the human in him. Next step is to figure out the internal and external conflict of your character. External conflict is outside. They're fighting something outside. Internal conflict is character's inner struggle. Inner conflict can be, I want to be a good dad, or I want to be good at something, or I want to be loved, I want attention, I want people to appreciate me, whatever the internal conflict is. Another thing I realized after writing lots and lots of scripts is to write a character that you actually know about. Don't dive deep into a character that you're not gonna know much about. For example, writing a cop when you're not a cop, or when you don't have anyone cop around you to ask. It took me a long time to realize that we can't write characters good if we don't know them in real life. Trying to observe other people in your life and then trying to keep the characteristics of your character similar to those you actually know, that would be good, because that way you know what you're talking about. Next, how does your main character talk? You know how people talk differently in real life? That's how it has to be in your movie as well. But because this video is about main character, I want you to ask yourself, how does my main character talk? Do they say dude all the time? Man, thanks man. Do they complain a lot? Or do they just talk with super short sentences? Or do they love talking? Like the protagonist in He's Just Not That Into You. That's a rom-com movie. If you haven't seen it, Go watch it. Gigi, the main character in that movie, she loves talking. She just goes on and on and on and on about something. And lastly, I realized this very late in my career. Not late, but when we had acting classes, I realized that you have to think like an actor to write good characters. It's really important. Actor always analyze scenes by asking some questions. For example, what am I doing here? What do I want here? What is my goal? What do I need to achieve? And how do I feel about this place? How do I feel about my goal? So many questions, so many deep questions, but these are very, very helpful for writers too. And what are their quirks? Do they raise their eyebrows often when they're talking? Do they take things personally? Do they have a signature hand movement? Do they twitch? Think about these things early on and develop your characters accordingly. That's all the things I'm gonna say today, even though I can go on and on about this. But basically, keep asking questions about your main character and answer them. Know everything about your protagonist, even the tiniest detail. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video with someone so that it helps them develop their main character, because hey, some people think that this is a competitive industry and we're racing with one another, but I don't believe that. We have to lift each other up and help each other, because this industry works with connections. So everyone has their own journey. Respect and be kind to one another. Okay, I'm ending this video now. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and like. I have so many screenwriting and filmmaking videos coming up. See you soon.